Hey, just a quick reminder before we get started. None of my education or experience overrides the intuition that you have about your own body. Do seek qualified professional care if you need it. So today we're talking about plantar fasciitis, and if you have it, you know it, and I'm sure you've done all the research on it. The big question is if you need to seek help or not. And as a fitness professional, it is my recommendation that if you are having any trouble with pain or function in any part of your body, you should always seek professional care that you feel good about. So what I'm offering here is my own method of resolving my plantar fasciitis. I have found considerable relief from doing these things, but I have to admit it's pretty rigorous. I attend to my feet probably 3 times per day, but the consequence of simply ignoring the pain in my feet is just too debilitating for me, and I'm not willing to simply cope with pain and dysfunction. I have other things to do. So let's get down to my plan of action. I actually have 4 things that I do throughout the day, 2 morning things, something during the midday, and then something right before I go to bed. Before I even get out of bed, I start to rub my feet. I twirl my ankles. I push them back and forth, pointing and flexing. I dig right down into the sole of my foot and I stretch my toes back. All of this is helping me to warm up my ankles before I even put my feet on the ground, because you know if you have plantar fasciitis, your very first step down is the most painful of the day. I also keep a stretchy band right next to my bed, so before I've even taken my first step out of bed, I exercise through my knees, my ankles, and my hip. I point, I flex, and then I also lift up. This will stretch my hamstring just a little bit, and I bend and straighten my knee. The second part of my morning routine, after I get out of bed, but before I take my dog for a walk, is I have this hard little ball. I actually bought it next to golf balls, so I'm not really sure what it's for, but it is like a golf ball. And I run just a little bit of hot water into a bathtub, and I sit and I roll my feet around. I make sure I cover all bits of my feet, and really I don't look for pain on this. I just push to where it feels good and it starts to release. I think the hot water is what really helps to soften the bottom of my feet. I also have this little massaging wand thing that sort of pulverizes my feet, and I just rub it around. This is when I use either the heat creams or some anti-inflammatory creams, and I just rub it around my feet. This feels great, but I do want to remind you that if you put creams on your feet, make sure you have a way to wipe it off before you stand up and walk around. And that's the morning warm-up before I get my day started. Throughout the day, there's a lot I can do to keep my feet strong and healthy, and I'll show you some of the exercises that I do. First and foremost, a big product shout out to the people who brought us trigger point therapy. I'll share a link down below, or you can probably find their products on Amazon. Make sure you get the DVDs to teach you how to do this as well. I got the training at a fitness convention to help my clients stay supple through their strength training, and now I consider it foundational for the care of my own legs, since I feel like I'm kind of cementing as I get older. Right here, what you see I'm doing is I'm rolling through the back and sides of my lower legs. It looks like a dumbbell that I'm rolling on, but it's quite light, and it's like a firm cloth pivoting point for me. And I stop where I feel pressure and I sink into it. I breathe. This is not a comfortable thing to do, but I know the relief from it is great. I twirl my ankles and then point and flex my toes as well, just to make sure that I'm releasing all that tightness through there. What I'm hitting is the tendon that essentially leads my calf down to the bottom of my feet. The next tool I have from Trigger Point Therapy is this ball. It's smaller than a tennis ball, bigger than a golf ball. It's a soft yet firm, quite firm ball that kind of leads up to a point. And I'm digging up into my calf. I'm sort of splitting that bigger calf muscle in the back. Just a word of caution that if you're somebody who has varicose veins, external pressure on varicose veins is not recommended. So make sure that if you have any questions about the things that you see with me or with anything online, that you actually consult somebody who can sit with you and assess what your body needs and what's right for you. So far, everything I've shown you has been me doing things that are pretty passive to my feet, whether I'm rolling them or massaging them or stretching them. But what I'd like to do is show you what I do while my feet are in motion. So here you can see where I've taken a step back from a wall and I'm leaning into it. I bend and then straighten my legs and then also raise up onto my toes. The idea is to try to keep my heels on the ground as I'm in my low bend, and then as I raise up, I try to squeeze and pull my calf up behind my knee. If you have a little bit more flexibility, you can step back and push your heels down and drop down, all with the support of the wall. One thing that is often recommended for stretching the back of the lower leg and down underneath the foot is to drop your heels below the level of a step. If your balance is challenged, though, there's a safer way to point your toes up a wall and lean in. This is a calf stretch that you can see here. This can include either a deep stretch and bent knees with bent toes, or a milder stretch with a longer leg. This should simply feel good. If it's painful, stop right away. Even more dynamic is to incorporate the whole body. Here I'm on same leg, same arm going back, but you can also do opposite arm and leg. As I step back gently, I push my heel down and then I stretch my body up. So what I'm showing here are two pictures of different positions that I use for stretching the entire leg, front and back, all the way down. I have this flexibility in my hips, knees, and ankles, but maybe you don't, so please proceed with caution. With plantar fasciitis, as you probably know, the first step of the day is the most brutal step. But at the end of the day is when my feet are so tired, and much of my body is tired because I've been limping around. So I do take the time to ice them. I keep these small water bottles in my freezer and I simply roll. No more than 15 minutes. I just roll around alternating feet if the cold feels a little uncomfortable, all the way from the heel up to the toes, on the outside, the inside. Sometimes I stop and just sort of sink into the coldness, and that feels great. After my feet are cold, though, I just sit and rest for another 20 minutes or so until I feel like I can walk around again. I do this right before I go to bed. When my condition was at its worst, I was taking some ibuprofen. I did speak with a pharmacist about doing that, and I think it's a good idea. If you feel you need to take something for it, talk to somebody about it, because there are things you should know about your hydration and about taking food alongside your anti-inflammatories. So there you have it. It's a pretty rigorous program, and I really literally attend to my feet maybe 3, 5 times a day even. In the morning before I get out of bed, I'm rubbing my feet, and then I'm using a stretchy band to help me warm up through my entire leg. I'm using hot water, and I'm rolling around on a golf ball. Throughout the day, I'm exercising, I'm stretching, and then at night, I'm icing. Sometimes I take ibuprofen. But there's nothing I won't do to make sure that I can continue spiraling up. And I want to offer this to you as well. Do keep in the driver's seat of your own health. You are in charge. And if you can fix it, fix it. If you can't, seek professional help. What works for one person doesn't work for another person, but you have to figure out what works for you.